Yes. Hello. It's not Spooky Lake month, but I'm here at Pyramid Lake, which, in my opinion, from being here, is a pretty spooky lake.
That was actually innocent Geo, who hadn't even seen the spiders yet, but don't let me get ahead of myself. Pyramid Lake is our first stop on a Spooky Lakes road trip where we're driving all the way to the Salton Sea. And you wouldn't believe how many spooky lakes there are along the way. We flew into Reno and drove straight up to Pyramid Lake in the morning, and y'all, I have not done Pyramid Lake for Spooky Lake month, even though everyone always recommends it, and this trip might have changed my mind. We were there early on a Thursday morning, but it didn't seem like there were any other tourists. We didn't see a single car or a boat on the water, which really added to the vibe.
I had no idea it was going to be this large. It's actually 27 miles long and around 11 miles across. There are tufa towers at Pyramid Lake, which is how it got its name, because some of the tufa towers are in the shape of pyramids.
Tufa towers form underwater in alkaline lakes when calcium-rich spring water percolates from the bottom, reacting with dissolved carbonates. A chemical reaction occurs that basically creates these limestone towers and pyramids. The ones at Mono Lake are a little bit more well-known, but luckily that's a stop on our road trip.
One of my favorite facts about Pyramid Lake is that despite the fact that it's much smaller than the Great Salt Lake, it actually has more water. And that's because the Great Salt Lake is huge, but it's super shallow. And Pyramid Lake is much deeper.
At this point, we went down to the boat dock where we ran into some of the actual permanent residents. The fact that this sign is covered in spider webs is ominous. I feel like my camera is not capturing the number of spiders very well. Wait, look at all the spiders. I might have to up my spooky ratings. Can you see them all? There's hundreds of them all over the rock.
The lake is actually on tribal land, and while there's a scenic route along the west side that you can drive up, you can't access the east side or the north side of the lake. There was issues with desecrating sacred sites, and so now it's only accessible to tribal members.
One of the things people often bring up when they recommend Pyramid Lake as a spooky lake is the water baby legend. In some versions of the northern Paiute oral traditions, the lake is said to be haunted by mysterious spirits that mimic the cries of infants to lure the unwary into the water. Spooky Lakes has never been about hauntings or folklore, but I do like to mention the indigenous history because it's an important part of the lake's story. Well, also, I want to be careful not to sensationalize or misrepresent it, especially this one. So if you're Paiute or if you know some resources to share the story appropriately, I'd love to hear about them because Pyramid Lake is for sure spooky just from being there, and I think it deserves to be part of Spooky Lake Month. Just remember the spiders. The spiders alone qualify it.
It's pretty spooky. I'd say 6 out of 10 spookies.
Follow along because next up we're heading to Lake Tahoe.